because of you. You, who were destined to become a thrall. Thanks to you, there will be no illithid empire, no death. You are the saviors of Baldur's Gate. 6 months have passed since you defeated the Netherbrain. And since then, you have seen more of life than you ever thought possible. You are greeted as a savior, a champion, a hero. But sometimes you feel like something else entirely. An adventurer, a traveler, a survivor. You faced down the gods. You thwarted the grand design. Anything seems possible. But before you can write the next chapter of your story, you must end this one. That's why you're going back to where all of this began, answering an invitation to gather with your allies and friends.
Thou wert called here, some from above, some below. For with thine bond, together thou hast kept the wheel of fate spinning when it threatened to halt. Though thou wert drawn far apart in the months after the collapse of the Absolute, tonight, fate renews thy bond once more. Thou shouldst take care to preserve it. It is a great weapon, wielded in the hand of good. Go. Know one another once more.
Seems like a good moment to talk.
Ah, my dear friend, it's been an age, has it not? You're looking very well indeed. Our skeletal friend will be very pleased to see I found my way here, despite my invitation getting lost in the post. Busy as ever. Better that than the reverse, wouldn't you say? Every major publishing house on the Sword Coast has been vying for my upcoming book on the subject of our adventures together. I've gotten quite good at replicating your signature, so you needn't even bother with the release form. You might help me with the title, though. I'm considering The Hero and Me. What do you think? Oh, that would be telling, wouldn't it? But believe you me, my friend, not a word could have been written without you. Perhaps, once the manuscript is finished, you'd even be willing to write a foreword? Or better yet, I'll write a draft and you could just sign your name. Better still, I'll sign it for you. Hmm? Ah, your success really has been wonderful for my reputation. But you mustn't let me hog your attention all night, my friend. You've many friends to chat to, and I'd love to listen in.
Old friend. For 2 months I trained the Knights of the Comet. For 2 more I skewered Kithraki bellies. And for 2 more yet, I traveled through Limbo. To see your face, it brings me even more pleasure than taking a Royal Inquisitor's head.
Limbo, she'd said. A plane of chaos where you might drink fire like water, where you might breathe ice instead of air. and the home of the mystical Githzerai. Once the Githzerai were one of the Githyanki, until bloody civil war severed them.
It's nice to hear it. It's taken a dozen Gish's talents, a few stolen psi crystals, and 2 10 days of effort to conjure my projection. Worth it, I'd say. I miss this place. This... Fey Run. Shractalor.
Shractalor. You recall the name. The capital city of the Githzerai, and the home of their immortal god king, Zareth Menya Agith.
Our Gish sent word of the rebellion to Minyara Gith through the cosmos. He's agreed to parley. It's fallen to me to secure an alliance. Exactly the reaction I expected. My blade is keen as ever. But it was you who showed me that a proper victory doesn't always require a razor-sharp edge. Sometimes, a sincere plea is more persuasive than a dagger against the neck. Minyara Gith is an ascetic. He reached out in good faith. This is his way. It is in this spirit that I must meet him. And if he refuses, I carry on. Gravity pulls me in but one direction. I am a warrior of the comet. I will not rest until I burn Vlaakith's bones to ash and smash her phylactery to pieces. My people will be free. But you've heard that refrain before. Zealous, bossy, insistent. All part and parcel of my undeniable charm. Soon, when the comet has risen, when the Lich Queen has crumbled to dust, I miss this place. More to the point, I missed you. I'll be back one day. The Overgod himself couldn't keep me away.
My eyes deceive me. The gang really is all here. Well, look who it is. My first and oldest friend. The last 6 months have been kind to you. Traveling far and wide, seeing all this world has to offer. A fine life indeed. Cazador's mansion has become my palace, and played host to every kind of banquet and soiree and masquerade imaginable. And of course, has seen its fair share of hedonism, clandestine deals, and the occasional disappearance. Whatever it takes to build up my influence over those who matter. I'm spinning my web. Power grows slowly, but I have nothing but time now. Oh, I wouldn't say ruler. Any old fool can sit on the throne. I would be more of a puppet master. For all my freedom to walk in the sun, it's still much more fun to pull the strings of power from the shadows. But the important thing is I am doing wonderfully. Finally having a life that's worth living. And who knows what's next? There's an entire world out there, ready for the taking. Perhaps the next time we meet, we'll have grander conquests to toast. I did miss you, you know. There is a sense of loneliness that comes with power. We did share a wonderful adventure, you and I. A pity to see it end in some ways. But we have great new lives stretching out before us, and great new adventures to go on. I will never forget the time we spent together, though. And I know you'll never forget me. Until next time, darling.
There's something strange in your old friend's mouth. What is it? A familiar invitation. He wants you to throw the object he's dropped. But it isn't a ball. It's the astral prism. Scratch barks merrily in something like agreement.
Into bear form.
No traps, please.
Revelry and community on the eve of revolution. Magnificent.
How much further can I go?
Well, well. Look what the Tressim dragged in. Professor Gale Decarius of Blackstaff Academy. Educator of the esteemed School of Illusion. A pleasure to remake your acquaintance. Well, that was quite lovely. I'm glad you're as pleased to see me as I am you. I have to say, I'm quite grateful to just be Gale for the evening. I fear my students find me somewhat intimidating due to my, explosive former reputation. I seem to put the fear of the gods into them. Or the fear of Mystra, to be more specific. I surrendered the crown of Carsus to her, as I told you I would. And in return, she cured me of the orb at last. Even now, I struggle to put the feelings into words. It was like exhaling for the first time after holding my breath for so very long. Of course, I haven't clarified with my students that the orb is no longer a threat. The legend of my explosive capabilities is an excellent means of controlling a classroom. Too good, if anything. I spend most of my time trying to convince them how much fun the study of magic can be. But it'd be easier to crack a smile on an intellect devourer than some of my pupils. Still, I hoped my students might be a little more open to the playful side of such magic. Oh, they try their best, of course, when they can manage to stay awake.
Cheek of them. Nothing a well-placed swipe from Tara can't fix, though.
And what of you? What are you making of this newfound lease of life we earned? From you, I'd expect nothing less. I've told my students plenty of tales about our escapades. You're something of a hero to them, you know? I'd be delighted to introduce you to my current cohort as a guest lecturer, perhaps. I'm sure they'd have plenty of questions for you. Excellent. I knew you wouldn't be able to resist the allure of sharing your expertise. Of course, you'll be most welcome to stay with me in my tower. My apologies, Tara. That would be our tower. It will give us plenty of time to catch up on your adventures. I'm very curious to know what you've been up to these past months. But I suspect the telling of that tale would keep you tied to me all evening. So, in the spirit of selflessness, I encourage you to mix and mingle for now, with time enough to come.
The past made present. I'm glad for it. For this.
Starting to wonder if you'd show up. Honestly, so have I. Well, come here, will you? It's been forever. You feel a little more substantial than before. Less camping and scrounging off the land, I take it. Same. In fact, I found a nice meadow not far from where I live now. Every now and again, I'll spend the night there. For old time's sake. I'm glad you seem well. Trudy. Wandering, mostly. The adventuring life is almost a tonic when you're not constantly threatened by brain monsters and cultists. I can finally see the world beyond the cloister. Peace and quiet will still be there waiting once I've lived a little. Though, don't get me wrong, I've got a little cottage with a garden and animals in mind already. One of my first stops was the House of the Moon in Waterdeep. It's the largest temple of Selûne in existence. It seemed like the perfect spot to reflect on my parents, on where they came from. And where I came from too, I suppose. Hard to imagine, isn't it? Me, of all people, in the lair of the Moon Witch herself. God, your truest act of heroism was putting up with all that char and drivel I was spouting for so long. Oh, I know they are. I can still sense them, I think. And one day we'll be reunited. I don't know. Which is just the way I like it just now. Perhaps I'll just stick a pin in a map and see what I find, or head to the docks in the morning and scrounge a berth to find somewhere new. I'd like to see the islands, maybe, or head south to Arm. I heard there's an enclave of werecats that hunt the followers of dark gods by moonlight. I'd love to see if there's any truth to that. But enough about me. What have you been up to? Do you ever rest? think of all those poor, budding adventurers looking to make a name for themselves. Take some time off and give them a chance, why don't you? Hopefully, these meetups will become a regular occurrence. It's not that I miss the tadpoles, but at least it brought us together. Now we've got to make the extra effort ourselves. I'm sure we will, but let's be proactive about it all the same. We're more than capable. After all, we've faced down bigger threats than wrangling together a few social calendars. Don't be a stranger.
A beautiful night. I wish it could last forever.
Scratch yaps a request you know well. Fetch?
I should take a tour. Just to see what the rest are up to.
You would think someone of my vintage would be inured to the passage of time. Yet these past 6 months have seemed endless without your company. But now, our paths cross once more. Perhaps that is so for you, but for me... It may be that a peaceful life after so many years of tumult has made me sentimental. I dwell upon what we shared. That bond was forged in a crucible that can never be stoked again, Oak Father willing. It is a bond that can weather any distance, any passage of time. I know it can, for I feel the longing for old friends in my heart each day. True, we cannot. But we can make a future that bests even the fondest of memories. Then each reunion shall be all the sweeter. And who's to say we need to make such gatherings a rare occasion? My hearth is yours to warm yourself beside always. Now, we have much to catch up on. Do not allow me to ramble on. I am eager to hear all you've been doing. Please, spare no details. I shall not lie. I have an ulterior motive in wishing to hear all. It is the children, you see. My charges. Their appetite for bedtime tales is greater than I could ever have anticipated. Another story, Daddy Halsin. Another is the chorus that greets me each nightfall. They have all but exhausted my repertoire in but a few short months. No mean feat given the lifetime I have lived. I desperately need new material, please. My reputation is at stake. More than a few, I should think. At least I shall be equipped to explain the birds and the bees when the time comes. But I hope that time is quite a while off yet. I am all ears, though I never cared for that phrase. A rather unsettling image. You have kept yourself busy. I expected no less, in truth. I shall be able to keep the children enthralled for a few more nights yet, thanks to you. And should you wish to retell of your exploits in person, well, I shall not object to a night off. Now, it would be cruel of me to hoard you all to myself for the evening, as much as I would like to. I shall leave you to the others for now, unless there was anything else. On occasion, but I prefer not to interfere. Francesca of the High Forest is Archdruid now, and by all accounts, she has proven to be a steady and wise influence. Even Korga may yet find true balance, thanks to her influence. Our community grows rapidly. In 6 months, we have turned what was once a shadowy wasteland into a true home for all. In another 6 months, I would wager the scars of the past will be entirely invisible, even to those who remember them. The old masonry of Moonrise Towers and Rythwin have been repurposed into new homes, and the land is rich with harvests and bountiful trees. Nature and civilization are in harmony, stronger together. In a manner of speaking, yes. Though it is a more complex, evolving beast than I could ever have anticipated. True balance is no simple, fixed thing. I see that now. We welcome folk from all walks of life. Anyone who wishes for a new start. Naturally, it can be chaotic at times, but it is a thrilling sort of chaos. It thrives in ways I could never have dreamed of. You are welcome whenever you like, and for however long you please. Quite often. They come and go as they please, but with so many playmates to avail of, they are far from strangers. They ask after you often. What you did for them will never be forgotten. I can see it in the land all around me. But more importantly, I see it in their faces whenever they visit. To make a child smile is to dabble with the power of gods, as far as I'm concerned. By all means. Your embrace makes me feel safer than any armor could. I spend half my days in Ursine form. The children demand it. I had a score of them taking turns riding upon my back just days ago. I'm glad they are so comfortable with the Oakfather's creations. But they must learn that not all are as amiable as I am. A lesson for another time, though. They deserve some joy. As for roaming, that impulse has dwindled, I must admit. Perhaps because I have found where I am meant to be. Before you go, I have something for you. Just a little keepsake, really. Do you remember how I told you I like to whittle? I made this. Ducks are my favorite, but I thought they were particularly fitting in this case. They are migratory birds, of course, traveling far and wide with the turn of the seasons. Yet, they always find their way back to where they belong. Just like old friends find themselves back in each other's company. Oh, I am well aware, trust me. Now, I've taken up enough of your time. Go on, enjoy the festivities.
Good song, good company, and good wine from the looks of it.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God! He wasn't kidding. Withers, you mad bastard! You brought me back! Soldier. It's really you. I've missed you, man. Like, I've really missed you. And you're so clean. No. Believe me, you shouldn't have. That place is fucking horrible. I wouldn't wish it on you. On anyone. But look, you showed me just how much my life is worth. That there are people out there who really value it. I can hang on in the hells a while longer. Oh, guess what we found? Cambion dropped a map with directions and blueprints for Zariel's own private forge. A fucking forge! Our current plan is to get in, grab a smith, and force him to fix old Rusty. Or maybe give me a brand new model that can live outside of Ernest. You haven't seen the last of old Karlak yet, soldier. Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep a bottle of something good in the icebox for me, huh? Mama Kay's coming home before too long. Can I look you up when I'm out? Hey, that would be kind of fun, though. High-stakes hide and seek. Honestly, I'd be curious to see if you could land a blow or two. Gods, is it good to see you again. To be here, together. Hard not to get used to it all over again. This won't be the last time. I promise.
Does no one here get drunk and spill secrets?
There you are.
I wonder if I can...
There you are, my friend. Breathe deep. Can you smell it?
You take in every scent the night breeze carries. Sweet honeysuckle, tender violets, and an earthy fragrance you can't quite recognize.
Forest trees draped in moss. Bittersweet, smoky, and that faintest hint of vanilla. A far cry from the rancid Avernus heat that's been clogging my lungs. I swear, Karlak and I have felled enough Cambions to build a fortress with their horns. Who'd have thought that just one of those fiends held the key to escaping Avernus for good? One of them sported a map and some blueprints. If you want all the gory details, Karlak can fill you in. I think the splinters I made out of the last bone devil I saw speak for themselves. Not to pat myself too hard on the back, but I'm not such a bad ranger if I do say so myself. I've seen him more than a few times, and he's as proud of me as I am of him. He's leading the city's renewal, opened the gates to all newcomers, rebuilt the council from scratch. And he's back in his element, commanding the Flaming Fist with brave heart and no shortage of empathy. The likes of Gortash can bend people's minds with a few chosen words. No tadpole needed. Bane's Chosen primed the Fist for a war they weren't meant to win. He convinced them there was an assassin hiding in every shadow, that cruelty was the correct answer to crisis. With a few exceptions, fathers pardoned every last fist. If my forgiveness not be Tyr's will, so be it. I shall forgive them all the same. His words, not mine. He still believes in the bow and the blade, but with Floric's help, he's teaching the Fist a new lesson. Valor is found not in the wounds you inflict, but in the lives that you have bettered. May they all take it to heart. I've missed you too. The rush of battles we fought, the heart-to-hearts, the nights around the fire, the comfort of knowing I didn't face the unknown alone. If I had to do it all over again, and I'd rather not, to be clear, I can't imagine not having you at my side. Well, that's enough hell talk for the moment. The night's young. You shouldn't go wasting it. Or wasting any of the wine for that matter. I plan on downing half a bottle myself. Oh, did I say half a bottle? I meant half a dozen. Oh, and before you saunter off, I love you. Hasn't changed, never will.
Bread just to get by.
A beautiful night. I wish it could last forever.
Magnificent.
Oh, I simply must have this one. It's practically sanguine.
Oh, hello. Let me guess, you've got some suggestions about the music choice. You have no idea. You've no idea who I am. Withers couldn't even find a bard that knows who I am. Milil. Though if the lack of song prayers is anything to go by, that name carries less weight than it used to.
You feel a pang of divine guilt. Musical prayers went out of fashion among bards when Milil, Lord of Song, offended the god Cyric and was ejected from the pantheon.
I'm washed up, I'm afraid. You know. You're bloody right. It is an honor. Deep down, I knew you'd recognize me. You're a fellow bard, after all. What can I do you for? Fantastical news. Carry on I shall.
This has a keen eye for a nice vintage. Why were we scrounging in barrels and crates for supplies when he could source these? God, I remember one evening when we had to eat 14 apples, some fish heads, and a stale loaf of bread just to get by.
Oh, it smells so good here!
The whole gang is here. Wish I'd had time to polish up the horns.
Oh, I could eat a beholder. What's cooking?
Past made present. I'm glad for it. For this.
Ah, cool, fresh air. By the living gods, I needed it.
In another life, I would probably be trying to hurt me, but daring to enjoy myself. No, no.
Perhaps I should stretch my wings again. Who knows what people are gossiping about? Just the same old chatter. Does no one here get drunk and spill secrets?
It's just so goddamn beautiful here.
Well, they can't all be winners.
Good song, good company, and good wine from the looks of it.
Withers has a keen eye for a nice vintage. Why were we scrounging in barrels and crates for supplies when he could source these? God, I remember one evening when we had to eat 14 apples, some fish heads, and a stale loaf of bread just to get by.
I wasn't sold at first, but the forest is rather good for getting together. Good street of bloody murder out here, I know.
Withers has a keen eye for a nice vintage. Why were we scrounging in barrels and crates for supplies when he could source these? God, I remember one evening when we had to eat 14 apples, some fish heads, and a stale loaf of bread just to get by.
I'm not here for chit-chat.
This one night is like any other, and yet different. Thou art the savior of Baldur's Gate, until such time it requires saving again. How dost thou feel? I am pleased to hear it. The satisfaction of one's intention is, to my surprise, a rare accomplishment. Enjoy the revelry of the day. Thou deservest at least that much. What indeed? Prick up thy ears and listen. The balance of the world restored. The balance of these lives, mortal and otherwise, brought to account. Hear me, thou heroes, wastrels, friends. I have waited long to tell you these words. It is over. For now. Thou played thy part in weaving the fabric of fate itself, but for every thread you sewed, so did the gods unravel another. Sleep, rest, revel, but be ready, for thou mayst yet be needed. Until we meet again, I wish thee every possible fortune, health, wealth, love, and above all, problems worth solving. To you. There thou art, the dead three. Thy faces gods, thy actions barely worthy of the name. Didst truly believe thy ploy would succeed? Didst believe I would not notice? Thou sought to bolster thy strength by taking away the souls of mortals. But souls vanish when their hosts become mind flayers. Didst think the other gods would not notice? Gods thou may be, yet thou hast proven thyself fools. Everyone. The supplication of Bane, the whimper of Baal, the death mule of Merkel. Felled by mortals. I overestimated thee. They did not. Vermin, away. Thou wilt trouble us no more.
You, a thief, a liar, and a fool. We had an agreement, and you broke it. The crown was supposed to be mine. Instead of delivering it to its true home in the Hells, you allowed Gale Dekarios to deliver it to Mystra. I should snuff you out and make coin of your soul. But it will be more amusing to let you see the consequences of your actions. Do you really think that the crown is safer in the hands of a goddess than in the claws of a devil? Look to the history of these realms. It is not the devils, but the gods who sunder, wreck, and ruin. It is the gods who instigate each new crisis. It is the gods who almost brought doom to your world. I was merely a witness to their conspiracy. And I would have dealt fairly with you. I cannot say what Mystra will do. Perhaps the crown is a mere trinket to one of her power. Or perhaps it is the key to unlocking some dreadful new potential in her portfolio. Time will tell. As it always does. Look to the heavens and pray for peace. But prepare for a cataclysm.